So, you're a man who's been around a while. Maybe you're 45, maybe 60. You've built, you've lost, you've learned, you've got stories behind your eyes. And then she shows up young, energetic, a little wild, a little unpredictably. And somehow, she looks at you differently, not like a stranger, not like a polite smile, but with real curiosity, and whether you admit it or not, something in you stirs. You feel alive again, seen, desired. But here's the quiet danger. That moment, right there, is where most men start to fall. Because when a younger woman shows interest, many older men forget who they are. They shrink, they soften, they adjust to fit her frame. Instead of standing firm in their own, they think, if I just stay relevant, if I talk like her, joke like her, keep up with her pace, maybe she'll stay. But that's not attraction. That's erosion. And when you begin to dilute yourself, she doesn't see a solid man. She sees a man trying to be something he's not. The mystery fades. The respect dies. This isn't a judgment. This is a wake-up call. Because there's nothing more tragic than watching a powerful man give away his gravity for a spark. So this video isn't about chasing women. It's about remembering who you are. It's about clarity, stillness, power that doesn't beg to be noticed. We're going to break down what a Stoic man does differently, how he stands firm when temptation dances in front of him, how he stays grounded even when youth tries to pull him off center. If you've ever felt confused, torn between the thrill of attention and the silence of self-respect, this one's for you. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly where older men lose their edge and how to sharpen yours again, not by chasing more, but by doing less, with strength. And brother, if you're not here to impress, but to lead, if you're ready to move with quiet power instead of noisy pursuit, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. I lead with presence. Because this isn't just a channel. This is a mindset, a movement. Welcome to the Stoic spirit. Number 1. Don't try to be her age. Don't shrink yourself to match her youth. You're not her peer. You're her contrast. And that's your strength. One of the most common traps older men fall into is trying to close the age gap by pretending it doesn't exist. They mirror her slang, copy her style, laugh at jokes they don't get, and pretend to be tuned into a world they've outgrown. And at first, it feels harmless. It comes from a desire to connect, to relate. But what actually happens is the opposite of connection. You lose the very thing that drew her in to begin with, your grounded presence. The moment you act like a younger man, she stops seeing you as stable, composed, experienced, and starts seeing you as unsure, insecure, a man performing, not standing. And here's the truth. Women feel energy. They can sense when you're faking confidence, the way they sense when a room goes cold. You may think you're being subtle, but to her, it's obvious. She doesn't pull away because you're older. She pulls away because your behavior says you're not comfortable being who you are. Your age isn't the problem. It's your edge. You've seen more. You've endured more. You've become more. And there's something magnetic about that. Something she can't explain, but feels in your calm, your silence, your certainty. You don't win her over by acting like a boy. You attract her by being the man you've become. Let her be wild, impulsive, and fast. That's her nature. But you move slow, speak less, and carry weight in every step. Let her orbit your stillness, not drag you into her spin. Picture this, you're out with her. She brings up some TikTok star or 23-year-old influencer. Most men would fake recognition or pretend to be impressed. You don't. You smile and say, "I'm more into conversations that last longer than 24 hours. That's presence. That's subtle power. That's a man who knows who he is and doesn't trade it for approval." The paradox. The less you try to be relatable, the more irresistible you become. Number 2. Don't become her emotional sponge. Don't absorb her emotions like they're your job. It's a trap a lot of older men walk into. She starts opening up about her childhood, her ex, her trauma, her chaos. And because you're calm, mature, and stable, you listen. At first, it feels meaningful. You feel special. She trusts you with what she doesn't share with others. And part of you starts to believe, this must be connection. She sees something in me. But slowly, something shifts. You're no longer the man she flirts with. You've become her therapist, her emotional airbag, her late-night counselor. And while you think this intimacy brings you closer, what's really happening is that you're becoming useful, not desired. There's a difference. You're confusing emotional labor with attraction, but she's not falling for you. She's leaning on you because it's safe, not sexy. You'll listen to her vent about other men. You'll get updates on her stress, her mental health, her confusion, but you won't get her respect, and you won't get her desire. Why? Because a Stoic man doesn't entangle himself in emotional storms. He brings peace, not by fixing, but by being unmoved. He hears her, but he doesn't carry her weight. He offers perspective, not rescue. He stays rooted. Even when she's unraveling, there's a difference between being emotionally present and being emotionally absorbent. One keeps you grounded. The other drains you dry. Let's say she calls you crying. You don't rush to solve anything. You calmly respond. That sounds heavy. I hope you give yourself some space to work through it. That one line says everything. You're listening, but you're not losing yourself in her mess. And that, brother, is the essence of Stoic strength. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear on your role. Clear on your energy. Clear on what connection really looks like. Because a man who has mastered his emotions doesn't get pulled into every emotional hurricane, no matter how beautiful the storm may seem. Number 3. Never chase her validation. One of the most subtle but damaging mistakes older men make when dating younger women is chasing their validation. It doesn't start with obvious desperation. It begins with small, seemingly harmless compromises. You compliment her even when she hasn't earned it. You wait longer than necessary for her replies. You downplay your truth just to keep the energy going. You smile when she's disrespectful. You nod along when your gut tells you something's off. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin bending, shrinking your masculine core for her approval. That's when the power dynamic flips. You're no longer the calm, composed, self-respecting man. You become a performer, chasing laughs, chasing attention, chasing connection that was never meant to be begged for. For younger women, especially those still figuring themselves out, this shift creates an instinctive reaction. They start pulling back, testing you, not because they're malicious, but because they're wired to respect strength and stability. And the moment they sense you're no longer grounded, they push further to see how far you'll stretch. If you cave, They lose interest. Not because you're not nice enough, but because nice without strength is forgettable. Here's where Stoicism becomes essential. A Stoic man doesn't seek validation. He doesn't rely on compliments, attention, or approval to confirm his worth. He is rooted, calm, and most of all, unmoved. As Marcus Aurelius once said, we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Let that sink in. If you care more about what she thinks of you than what you think of you, you've already lost. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. You're texting a younger woman. She replies 5 hours later with a cold emoji or vague comment. You feel the sting. The urge to win her back with another message, another joke, another compliment. But you don't. You pose. You breathe. You carry on with your workout, your mission, your life. Because when she comes back, if she does, she finds a man who didn't fold, who didn't need to beg, who stayed in his power. That's attractive. That's rare. And that's what separates men from boys. Let me tell you a quick story. Greg, a 50-year-old business owner, started dating a confident 28-year-old woman. At first, she admired his discipline and calm presence. But as the weeks passed, Greg began bending to keep her happy. He planned extravagant dates. He texted first, every time. He complimented her, even when she was cold. And he started hiding parts of his truth to avoid disagreement. He didn't see it, but he was chasing her validation, and she felt it. One evening, she told him, "You're great, but I just don't feel the spark anymore." What she really meant was, "You're no longer the man I respected." After the breakup, Greg stepped back. He got back into his morning routine, stopped trying to impress women, and started impressing himself. A few months later, the same woman reached out, but Greg wasn't interested. Not because of bitterness, but because he no longer needed her approval. He was back in his center. That's what she originally fell for. That's what she could no longer control. That's the secret. A man who doesn't need her validation becomes the standard she rises to meet or walks away from. Either way, he wins. Because when you live from your center, you don't need applause. You don't need permission. You don't need a woman to validate who you are. You are the validation. So stop chasing her attention. Stop folding your values to fit in. Stop trading your truth for comfort. That's not love. That's self-erasure. Be the man who listens but doesn't chase, who gives but doesn't lose himself, who stays calm while others seek control. Because that man, the Stoic man, doesn't chase validation. He commands respect. Drop a comment below. I lead from the center. Let the world know you're done chasing approval and ready to live by your own standards. Like this video if it reminded you of your worth. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. And remember, when you stop seeking her validation, you give her something far more powerful to chase. Your presence. Number 4. Don't try to impress. Lead instead. Here's the truth. Most older men miss. You're not here to impress her. Let that settle in. Modern dating has conditioned men to believe they need to perform. Fancy dinners, clever messages, and well-rehearsed compliments, all in the hopes of winning her attention. But when you're an older man, engaging with a younger woman, trying to impress her isn't just ineffective, it weakens your presence. The moment you shift from leading to pleasing, you move from being masculine to being performative. You make her the judge. You put yourself on trial. And you may not say it directly, but your energy starts whispering, "Am I good enough for you, that new shirt you bought, because you hoped she'd like it?" That long pause before hitting send on a carefully worded compliment. That dinner reservation you scrambled to make. All of that doesn't go unnoticed. Not because she's evaluating your style or your words, but because she feels the energy behind it, insecurity. Now let's get clear. Leading isn't about control. It's not barking orders or trying to dominate. True leadership is quiet, stable, and rooted in presence. It's being the man who moves with clarity, not confusion. You don't ask, "What do you want to do?" You say, "Let's do this." Not because you don't care what she thinks, but because you know where you're going. And that, more than anything, is what draws younger women in. They may be used to chaos from men their age, emotional roller coasters, indecisiveness, ego-fueled drama. But you're calm, you're certain, and that's what makes you powerful. Imagine meeting a younger woman for coffee. Most older men try to impress talking about careers, cars, accomplishments. But you sit grounded. You ask about her values. You listen not to judge, not to fix, but to understand. You speak with quiet strength, not flashy charm. And that contrast, it's unforgettable. She leans in, not because you dazzled her, but because you made her feel something rare, safe, and drawn in, without effort or performance. Stoicism teaches us this exact lesson. As Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Because real men, stoic men, don't chase applause. They live by principle. And that's the same in dating. You don't shift who you are just to get her approval. You stay aligned with your direction. If she aligns with that, great. If not, you walk without looking back. Because the goal isn't to perform. It's to embody. It's to reveal who you are through eye contact, through how you say no, through how you hold space when she's emotional, without getting pulled into her storm. Leadership, in this sense, is both external and internal. You lead the moment, but you also lead emotionally. When she escalates drama, you step back, not to punish, but because peace is your standard, and that's what leaves a mark. The men who try to impress may get attention for a night, but the ones who lead, they stay in her mind for months. Because they didn't ask for validation, they gave her a rare experience of true masculine groundedness. So stop rehearsing. Stop Googling clever pickup lines. You're not here to win a prize. You are the prize if you act like it. Comment below, "I lead in silence" if you're done performing and ready to command with presence. And don't miss what's coming next, because once you stop over-investing too early, the whole dynamic begins to shift in your favor. Number 5. Don't project long-term fantasies early. You just met her. She's young. She's magnetic. And for some reason, she's showing interest. Before you know it, your mind starts racing ahead. You imagine where this could go. A beach vacation, meeting her family, even picturing her walking down the aisle. She hasn't even told you her middle name yet. But emotionally, you're halfway down the road to forever. That's where the danger begins, because the second you project a long-term fantasy too early, you stop seeing her for who she is and start relating to who you want her to be. You skip the part where you're supposed to observe. You bypass the red flags, rationalize the incompatibilities, and tell yourself, She just needs time. But she doesn't need time. You need clarity. When you're emotionally attached to an illusion, you ignore the reality right in front of you. Her flakiness, just part of her charm. Her indifference, she's just playing it cool. Her mixed signals, she must be scared of falling for you. This kind of thinking traps you, and she feels that trap too. Not because you say anything wrong, but because your energy becomes heavy. There's pressure, expectation, an invisible weight she never agreed to carry. You're hoping for the next chapter when she hasn't even finished the introduction. And the more you push for that imagined future, the more she pulls away, because what started as light, curious attraction now feels like emotional responsibility. And that's not sexy. It's suffocating. Epictetus once warned, when you are about to put your hand to something, remind yourself what it is. Dating isn't building castles in your head. It's collecting data. It's watching patterns. It's observing reality without interference. That means being present, not projecting. Here's where it gets even riskier when you fall into the fantasy trap. You start overgiving. You cancel commitments. You rearrange your life. You slow down your goals. All for a woman you barely know. And it's not because you're weak. It's because you're invested in a future she never promised. Let's make it real. Meet Alan. He's 54, independent, wise. He meets a 27-year-old woman who lights up every room. She's exciting, full of energy, and unpredictable. After 2 weeks of texting and 3 dates, he's hooked. He tells his friends she could be the one. He skips a major business trip just to stay in town, spends weekends planning future getaways, changes his financial goals to accommodate a shared future. But she's still treating him like a fun option. Cancel plan last minute. Replies inconsistently. Talks about other guys casually. And instead of stepping back, Alan leans in harder, justifying everything, saying she just doesn't know what she wants yet. 3 months later, she vanishes. No drama, no explanation. Alan wasn't heartbroken because he lost her. He was heartbroken because he lost the dream, the imagined life that never truly existed. That's the cost of projection. And for older men, the price is even higher. You're not just losing a woman, you're losing focus. You're burning time. You're disrupting your mission. Stoicism teaches, observe without attachment, engage without expectation, hope, but never at the expense of reality. So how do you stay centered? You slow the emotional pace. Even if the chemistry feels explosive, you don't jump ahead. You wait. You watch. You let her reveal her character through patterns, not promises. You pay attention to how she handles conflict, how she treats others, how she behaves when things don't go her way. You don't imagine 10 years down the line before you've seen how she handles one hard conversation, because attraction is instant, but compatibility is tested. Stop building futures in your mind. Build presence in your life. She'll either rise to meet it or reveal she's not meant to stay. Either way, you stay in your power. Comment below, I live in the real. If you're done projecting and ready to observe with clarity, and don't go anywhere, because when you stop chasing fantasy, you start attracting something much more real. Number 6. Don't be her backup plan or emotional filler. Here's the harsh truth. Most men don't want to admit you're not always the man she truly wants. Sometimes, You're just the safe option, the fallback, the comfort, the emotional crutch she leans on when the man she truly desires is unavailable. You're the one she texts when she's lonely, the one she calls when she's crying, the one who listens when her world falls apart, but not the one she shows off, chooses, or commits to. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse that attention with affection. You'll tell yourself, she's just taking time to open up, when in reality, she's already given her heart elsewhere. To someone who doesn't pick up her calls at 2 a.m., to someone who doesn't always say yes. Let's be clear, this isn't about blaming her. It's about you recognizing the role you've allowed yourself to play. Stoicism teaches that a man must protect his peace, that he must never trade his dignity for breadcrumbs of connection. As Seneca once wrote, associate with those who will make a better man of you, and just as importantly, avoid those who shrink you into half of who you were meant to be. Because when you become her backup plan, your energy slowly depletes. Your masculine core begins to erode. You find yourself censoring your truth, walking on eggshells, trying not to say too much, all in the hope that one day she'll finally realize you were the one. But brother, women don't fall for the man who's always available. They fall for the man who knows his worth and doesn't hesitate to walk away. Let me give you a real example. Ethan, 48, started talking to a younger woman he met through mutual connections. She was smart, magnetic, and unpredictable. They hung out a few times. There was chemistry, no doubt, but she'd vanish for days, only to return when things didn't work out with the other guy she was chasing. Each time she needed comfort, Ethan was there offering advice, offering stability. He thought, if I stay consistent, she'll eventually choose me. But consistency without boundaries isn't strength, it's self-betrayal. One day, she said, "You're like my safe place." It sounded sweet, but for Ethan, it hit different. He realized she didn't mean safe as in loved. She meant safe as in temporary. The man she turned to until someone else called back. That night, he walked. No drama, no long explanation. He simply withdrew his energy. 3 months later, she reached out again. Different tone, different energy. Why? Because now she knew he wasn't there to be her backup anymore. Here's what too many men forget. You're not here to be the man she cries to about another man. You're not here to be the placeholder. You're not here to be her therapist. You're here to be her standard. So what does this look like in practice? If she only calls when life is hard, but disappears when things are good, step back. If she only flirts when she's lonely, but avoids depth, stop replying. If she treats you like a sponge for her emotions, absorb nothing, let her feel the silence. You don't need to punish her. You don't need to block her. Just quietly withdraw the privilege of your energy. That's Stoicism in action. Because your energy is not cheap. Your time is not a donation. And your attention should never be spent on someone who doesn't value it. A Stoic man doesn't beg for recognition. He lives in alignment with his values. And when someone disrespects them, he exits. If she comes back, it won't be because you begged. It'll be because your absence spoke louder than your presence ever could. Comment below, I won't be her option if you're done being second place in someone else's story. And don't go anywhere, because once you put your purpose above her chaos, you'll become the man no woman forgets. Number 7. Never lose your mission for her. This is where even the strongest men falter Not when she's distant. Not when she tests you. But when you feel that emotional spark and start thinking she's worth adjusting for. At first, it seems harmless. You skip a workout. You push back a goal. You delay a business call. You slowly start bending. Not because you're weak, but because she feels special. You feel alive again. And that's when the shift happens. You go from being a man on a mission to a man orbiting someone else's. You start answering texts faster, rescheduling your plans, trading focus for comfort. And it doesn't seem like a sacrifice until you realize you're no longer driving your life. You've handed her the wheel without even noticing. Here's the hard truth. No woman, especially a younger one, wants to be your mission. She wants to be part of it. Yes, she wants to be led by it. But the moment she becomes the center of your purpose, the attraction begins to erode. Because masculine energy is not about controlling her. It's about controlling yourself. It's about direction. The more grounded and consistent you are in your path, the more magnetic you become. When you start leading from your vision, your values, and your discipline, she feels it, and she may test it. She may push back, but deep down, she respects the man who doesn't shift just to keep her comfortable. Stoicism teaches this. Marcus Aurelius never asked what others thought of his path. He stayed on it. He said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." So ask yourself what happens when you trade your ambition for comfort. You lose the very edge that made you powerful in the first place. You become reactive. You depend on her mood to feel stable. You start living on her schedule, speaking less truth, playing it safe so she stays around. That's not love. That's emotional surrender. And she can feel that shift. She may not say it, but she'll sense when you've placed her above your purpose. And the moment she feels that, the dynamic changes. She starts pulling away, not because she stopped liking you, but because you stopped being the man she respected. Let me tell you about Daniel, 43 years old. Built a business from scratch, disciplined, focused, a man with purpose. Then he met a woman in her mid-20s, beautiful, clever, magnetic. He was drawn to her spark, and over time, he started rearranging his life for her, skipped his morning routine, delayed important deals, changed his rhythm to match hers. To outsiders, it looked like love, but internally he lost direction. And soon enough, he lost her, because she didn't fall for the man who adjusted for her. She fell for the man who had direction, who didn't bend for anyone. When that disappeared, so did the respect. And without respect, attraction dies quietly. So here's what a Stoic man remembers. You don't shrink to fit someone in your world. You build your world with strength and let them choose to walk alongside you. If she's right for your journey, she won't demand your mission. She'll respect it. She'll admire your fire, not ask you to put it out. And if she leaves because you didn't put her first, let her go. Because a man with purpose never runs out of options. But a man who gives up his direction for comfort, he loses not just the girl, he loses himself. So stay the course. Wake up early. Chase the goal. Speak your truth even if she doesn't like it. Train when you don't feel like it. Let her feel the presence of a man who doesn't ask for permission to lead. That's what inspires her. That's what she'll remember. That's what earns lasting respect. Comment below, "I never leave my path," if you're done dimming your fire for love. And don't stop here. Because what happens when you refuse to trade your standards for affection will transform the entire game. Number 8. She wants a rock, not a puppet. Let's make one thing clear. She doesn't want you to crumble just to please her. Even if she tests your patience, even if she pulls away emotionally, even if she throws mixed signals or gets distant, what she's really checking is this: will you drift away from yourself to chase her? Because that's the real test. You see, many younger women engage in a quiet dance of emotional push and pull. They flirt, then withdraw. One day they say, "You're too closed off." The next, "You're too available." It's not random. It's a filter. They're watching to see what happens when you're shaken. Do you chase? Do you explain? Do you fold? Do you offer what she hasn't asked for just to win her favor? If so, you're no longer a grounded man. You're a puppet. And here's the hard truth. Puppets don't inspire love. They might get temporary attention, but not deep, lasting respect. You can be kind, you can be thoughtful, you can be tuned in emotionally, but when your identity starts shifting every time her mood does, she will feel it, and she will start pulling back without even knowing why. Because what she actually needs is a structure to trust, not one made of rules, but a man whose energy is stable, who doesn't need to flex just to feel seen. She wants to feel the weight of a man who stands still, even when she tries to tip the scales. And believe me, she will try, not to hurt you, but to test if your confidence is real, or if it collapses when she questions it, if your self-worth can be shaken by a sarcastic comment, or her pulling back for a few days. She knows you're not leading, you're adapting. And adaptation, when it costs you your identity, is not strength, it's weakness. Stoicism teaches us this clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Tranquility comes when you stop caring what others think, say, or do. That's your shield." It means holding your ground when she's emotional, holding your tone when she tests your calm, and holding your purpose when she tries to pull you off your path. Let me give you a real-world picture. A man named Cole, mid-50s, successful but recently divorced, started dating a younger woman. She was fun, smart, unpredictable. At first, things flowed, but then she began challenging him. She'd tease his clothes, flirt in front of him, and say things like, "You'd look younger if you dressed better." The old version of Cole might have rushed to change, buying trendier outfits, laughing nervously to fit in. But not this time. He looked at her calmly and said, "That's cute. I like how I dress. It works for me." No anger, no defense, just truth. He didn't flinch. And 2 days later, she called again. Not because he impressed her, but because he didn't budge. She saw it. This man won't bend to be liked. That's what made her want more. Because here's the truth. Women may test you with chaos, but they crave your calm. They want to feel your stability, not your submission. They trust the man who can say no without guilt. And, yes, without desperation, especially as an older man. This is your hidden edge. Not money, not stories, but presence. The kind that says, "I know who I am. And I'm not shifting just because you're attractive." That's the difference between momentary interest and lasting pull. You don't win her over by giving her control. You earn her respect by being the man who cannot be moved. Comment below, "I hold the line. if you're done adjusting yourself just to be accepted and ready to lead from your core. Number 9. Don't buy her time. Command her attention. There's a dangerous belief many older men hold, especially when dating younger women. If I give her my time, gifts, and comfort, she'll stay. But here's the hard truth. You don't buy a woman's attention. Not the kind that matters. Not the kind that lasts. You command it, and here's how it works. When you're constantly giving, overpaying for dinners, chasing texts, being overly generous with your time, you're broadcasting one message: my value is external. I have to give to be wanted. And the moment she senses that, she might stay, but not out of desire. She stays out of convenience, because it's easy. And when a woman stays for comfort, not because she's drawn to your presence, you've already lost the game. A high-value woman doesn't need a provider. She needs proof of presence. A man whose stillness speaks louder than gifts. Because true attention isn't earned by spending more. It's earned by being more. Not more impressive, more grounded, more centered, more disciplined. That's what Stoicism teaches us. Marcus Aurelius never said, "Win others over." He said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." So stop performing. Stop trying to impress. Be the man. Live a life so purposeful that she leans in just to feel the gravity of it. Speak less. Move with intention. Value your time, whether you're alone or with someone. Let me give you an example. David Wu Shiyi met a vibrant 26-year-old at a business seminar. She was smart, used to male attention, and knew how to test boundaries. Most guys around her were overextending lavish dinners, constant compliment, late-night texts. David, he did none of that. He invited her into his world without chasing. He made plans that fit his schedule. He didn't overtext. He never overreacted. At first, she pushed back, delayed replies, subtle attitude. David didn't flinch. He smiled, stayed light, kept moving. And just like that, the dynamic shifted. She started chasing his time, not because he offered more, but because he didn't need to. You command attention not by needing her to notice you, but by being a man who's already noticed himself. And that is the shift that separates the average man from the magnetic one. Comment below, I don't buy her attention. I make her notice. If you're done trying to prove your worth through gifts and ready to let your presence speak for itself. And don't stop here, because the moment you stop performing for her attention, you unlock the kind of respect that no gift can ever buy. Number 10. Let her earn your depth. You've lived through decades of hard-earned lessons, failures, victories, broken hearts. You've rebuilt from nothing and carried invisible scars that younger men haven't earned yet. That's not just experience. That's depth, and it's powerful. But here's the trap too many older men fall into. They give that depth away too easily. You meet a younger woman. She's attractive, attentive, and curious. She asks a few deep questions, leans in, and suddenly, you're pouring out your past, your wounds, your truths. And you think, if I'm vulnerable, she'll feel closer to me. But what often happens, she doesn't feel closer. She feels burdened. Because connection isn't about how much you reveal, it's about whether she's earned what you reveal. Your inner world isn't a prize to be won with pretty eyes or polite interest. It's sacred. It's earned. not offered freely. Let her show you emotional maturity. Let her show up consistently. Let her reveal how she handles tension before you hand her the keys to your soul. You wouldn't toss a priceless car to someone without a license. So why hand over your heart to someone who hasn't proven they can hold it depth? Shared too soon. Become pressure. Wisdom. Shared too early. Sounds like preaching. You must pace it. This doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you're hiding. You can still be kind, still be fun, warm, and fully present. But you don't lead with your soul. You let time filter out what's real. Seneca said it well. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. And the same goes for emotional connection, not how fast it happens, but how true it becomes. Let me give you a quick example. Alan Wushasu met a 30-year-old author. She was engaging and kept pushing for deep conversation philosophy. Trauma. Personal beliefs. He didn't open the vault. Not yet. Instead, he asked her how she handles stress, how she reacts to things she can't control. He listened. He watched. And weeks later, when she showed emotional integrity and patience, then, and only then, did he share his truth. And she respected it because now she had earned it. That's what makes your depth valuable. Not just that you have it, but that not everyone gets access to it. If you're done handing over your soul to anyone who simply smiles, comment below. I protect my depth. Let it be a reminder. Your story has weight. Your presence has power. And your inner world is not free for those who haven't earned it. Stick around, because the moment you stop giving too much too soon, you unlock a kind of attraction built on respect, not reaction. If you're still watching, you're not like the average man. You're not here for quick tricks or shallow games. You're here to rise, to lead, to become the man you were meant to be. And that's exactly why the Stoic spirit exists. If anything in today's video struck a chord, hit that subscribe button, not just to watch, but to walk alongside other men on the same mission. And if you're ready to go deeper into Stoic wisdom, unfiltered tools, and a circle of men dedicated to real growth, then join the Stoic spirit. The links below. Inside, you'll find more than content. You'll find clarity, direction, brotherhood. Thanks for being here today. You showed up for yourself. That's rare. And one more thing, never forget this. You're not chasing her. You're building you. And that makes all the difference.